Hello guys and welcome back to Wolfie TV, and we're back with yet another Premier League predictions video. Guys, it is currently 11:15 at night, so for that reason alone, the fact I'm still recording at 11:15 at night, I think you should hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel as well. And for that exact reason as well, let's get straight into these predictions because I need to be up at 6 o'clock in the morning. And we're going to start off by talking about Crystal Palace, who take on West Ham. Of course, two teams now which will be feeling a lot more confident about safety compared to obviously a few weeks ago. What's really interesting though is between these two teams is they're both lost in the midweek fixtures. West Ham weren't happy about that though. Obviously, David Moyes really not happy with some of the decisions that went against West Ham, and to be honest, I kind of have to agree with him. I think they were a little unlucky with some of the things that did happen, and maybe that might give them some vengeance to really come back with some bite. I mean, Jared Bowen looks to be really picking up form, and some of the West Ham players, other West Ham players are also looking to really get back to their full potential, and Paqueta now showing the potential that, you know, West Ham fans had when he actually signed for the club. Crystal Palace, on the other hand, are they starting to drop off a little? They're really good start with Roy Hodgson, but the last two games, a draw and a defeat, and they're not really looking that good either when they are playing, in all honesty, compared to obviously that really dynamic, aggressive attacking style which they brought when Hodgson first came in. The shots have kind of dried off a little. They've still got some very exciting players though, so I think this will make for a very good game. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 in this fixture purely because Palace are at home. Brighton versus Wolves, guys. Full match preview out on the channel for that, as always, with the Wolves fixtures. So let's move on to Brentford, who take on Nottingham Forest. And Nottingham Forest, a huge win. I want to start with them because it was a huge win at home against Brighton. And I think that's just a massive result. We spoke about Nottingham Forest home form quite a lot throughout this season, really, because it has been fantastic. But it had died off just a little. But when they needed it most, they pulled off a huge moment against Brighton, 3-1 victors in the end. And I think they'll be looking to try and carry that form onwards now to try and steer themselves towards safety. It's not going to be easy though for Forest because, firstly, they're away from home, as we know, a lot worse form away from home. And secondly, they're coming up against a Brentford team that's just beat Chelsea 2-0. Now, given that Brentford beating Chelsea at the moment, I think everyone should probably beat Chelsea with their look an absolute state. But regardless of that, there's going to be a good feeling, and going to Brentford is not an easy task by any means. And I think for that reason, I am going to give it to Brentford. It's going to be a narrow 2-1 victory. Let's move on to what I think is possibly the game of the weekend. Manchester United will take on Aston Villa, and United blowing a 2-0 lead against Spurs tonight. They even had a big chance when it was 2-1 to make it 3-1. I think they'll be really disappointed and they'll be looking to bounce back. It's not going to be easy though, coming up against an Aston Villa team which are in the form of their lives at the moment. Emery's obviously done fantastic things with them, and they keep on marching on towards that European spot. The Villa fans are confident. The team is confident. The manager seems confident. So this is going to be a really good game. I'm really looking forward to watching this one, in all honesty. I don't know, though, with score prediction. It's a really hard one to predict. United have got the home advantage, but Villa just look really good at the moment. I think for that reason, I'm going to go down the middle. I'm going to call it 1-1. Let's move on to Fulham now, who take on Manchester City. And Arsenal will be hoping their fellow London club can do them a massive favour, do something that they didn't, and get a result against Manchester City. Obviously, though, at the moment, let's just be honest, Manchester City look unstoppable. The De Bruyne, Haaland, that combination against Arsenal, it was just a delight to watch as a football fan, really. And they've really kicked on, as they always do, towards the end of the season when it matters most. And for that reason, I'm really sorry, Fulham fans. No disrespect to you guys, but I just think City look unstoppable at the moment. I am going to give you a goal. I'll give you a goal. I'm going to go 3-1 to City in this prediction. Let's move on and speak about Bournemouth taking on Leeds, and huge celebrations tonight actually for Bournemouth. A massive, massive win against Southampton. A VAR goal ruled out late on. Shay Adams actually believed that he'd got the equaliser and maybe just give Southampton some hope, but it didn't get given. VAR cancelled it out, and Bournemouth, they are marching on. They are pretty much safe now. And, I think they've really done well. They've really fought. They've had that smartness about them, and they actually deserve to stay up as well. Leeds, on the other hand, they cannot be saying that quite yet. Obviously, probably a little bit disappointed in some ways to only get a draw against Leicester, but then some would argue that Leicester were probably the better team out of the two. Brentford, huge chance to bury that, make it 2-1, give the 3 points to Leeds. What a massive boost that would have been. But sadly, that did not happen. This is not going to be an easy game by any means for Leeds United. And Bournemouth, I think they're just going to keep on, going at it. And I think, you know what? Bournemouth seem to be winning these clashes against the teams lower than them. They seem to have a knack about them. I'm going to give it to Bournemouth, especially at home. I'm actually going to go 2-0 to Bournemouth. Let's move on to speaking about Newcastle United taking on Southampton. I did have to laugh a little because, God, I feel sorry for Southampton. Newcastle were absolutely dominant against Everton tonight. Nearly 5-1, obviously a late goal ruled out. And Southampton, they also had a late goal ruled out. What could that point maybe have done? I think, unfortunately, for Southampton at this moment in time, it's too little, too late. And sadly, we will be seeing Southampton relegated to the Championship. Maybe they haven't gave up all hope yet. To be fair to the Saints players, they've tried as hard as they can, but they're just falling short. And coming up against a Newcastle team, St. Mary's, the way them guys are playing, every player seems to be contributing something. All the attacking players are even getting assists or goals. They're doing phenomenal things, and I'm sorry I can only give it to Newcastle United. I'm going to go 3-0. Sorry, any Saints fans watching. They might be happy with me only predicting 3-0 in all honesty. Let's move on to speaking about Liverpool, who taking on Spurs. And a huge night, actually. I want to touch on Spurs first, because what a comeback against Manchester United. The main thing that I saw there, though, was fight from the players, togetherness. The fans were all together at the end with the players, and obviously Ryan Mason, who has took charge on a temporary basis. It seemed like they were united, and that's something that you can't say has been the case with Spurs for the majority of the season. It could be a huge moment for them coming back against Manchester United. They're coming up against a Liverpool team now that had a turning for themselves. They've got their attacking players back. They're showing some of that attacking might now. They've got options the likes of Salah, Jota, Gakpo, Nunes, Firmino. They've suddenly got some options in attack, and that's obviously why they're getting some much better results. Obviously, it's at Anfield as well. I feel like the obvious thing would be to predict Liverpool, but there's always one prediction which I just have a funny feeling about. And I just, for some reason, I'm going to back Spurs, which I don't usually do. And it's a bit of a rogue prediction, but I'm actually going to go 2-1 Spurs. I just have a funny feeling. Leicester now, who take on Everton, and a huge game for both teams this close to the end of the season. Leicester, obviously they got the draw against Leeds. I think they were a little bit disappointed they didn't get all three because they felt that they were actually the better team in that game. Everton, I worry. I really do worry for Everton, if I'm being completely honest. The last season, you look at players like Richarlison, really managed to drag them out of it, really did some big moments. I'm looking at the team and I'm like, who's going to be that player? Who's going to be your hero? Leicester have found some heroes since Dean Smith's come in. Everton are still waiting for that moment. We know that their away form isn't particularly good either. It's going to be really horrible if Everton do go down for that fan base. Obviously, something they're not used to. It's supposed to be a change and a bit of something to get excited for, the new stadium. But the club, the way it's been ran has been a complete mess. And I've got to say, I just fancy Leicester in this one. I'm going to give it a narrow 1-0. I just think Leicester will edge it. Let's move on to speaking about Arsenal, who take on Chelsea, and commiserations for Arsenal. They fought well, but really you could tell the lack of experience, the there's players that still got a lot of growing to do. A very, very young squad. I believe them and Saints are the youngest squads in the Premier League. I can't remember off the top of my head whether Arsenal are actually the youngest squad on average in the Premier League or second. But I think that's really is showing now. You know, City are seasoned at doing this, and it really has come across in the last few results, not just the game against City, but, you know, City have really turned things up. Meanwhile, Arsenal, you've just seen the nerves, and they've just not really been playing the way that they have been. The good news for them, though, they come up against another team that is not playing as they should be. Oh, Frank Lampard, I think he must regret taking the job. I mean, you know, his career wasn't in a great point anyway before taking this, and then he's obviously come in, he's Mr. Chelsea, he just wanted to help out the club, but long term for his career, it's probably a really, really bad move for him, in all honesty. This is going to be a very interesting game, and I think if it was, I'm not even joking here when I say this, any other team in the league, I'd really fear for Arsenal just going to self-destruct mode, but they're coming up against a team that's even in worse self-destruct mode, and for that reason, I'm going to give it to Arsenal. I'm going to give it, I'm going to actually go 2-0. Chelsea, where do they go from here, in all honesty? They must just be thankful that they've got enough points to stay up at this point. But guys, that is the Premier League predictions. As always, if you have enjoyed the video, do me a favour, hit that like button, and please do subscribe to the channel. And I'll catch you on the next one. There's not many of them left now, but I will catch you on the next one. Take care. Goodbye.